Okay, so your student is struggling. Now what? We're going to look at tier 2 supports. Talk about tier 2. This is going to be supplemental support in a small group, still in the general education setting. So we're not moving them out of gen ed. The instruction or the intervention has to align to the core curriculum and be based specifically on your students' data. So when we look at the data binder in just a minute, you're going to see that we have to have baseline data and we have to have progress data. What we really want tier 2 to be is just like a very easy way for you to be providing interventions to students who are not showing progress in their gen ed curriculum. Okay, so let's go over and look at our RTI folder. This is in the Rocky Peak Drive, okay, and RTI has the stoplight. And you're going to find your grade. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to go to grade 2. And you have a data notebook here. This is your template notebook. You're just going to right click and make a copy. Okay, and when you're there, you are going to type in your student's name at the top here. And then this documentation of student level of performance, this is the Jordan School District required form that has to be filled out in order for a student to go through the RTI process, as well as any students who might be referred for special education. Okay, so everything on this page is highlighted yellow that you would need to fill out. I have gone through and tried to put your name as the teacher in your grade level in your respective folders. If I got it wrong, I'm so sorry. Easily you can change it. Okay, so I'm going to fill out student name, tester, right? As soon as I have filled out a box that has been required, it takes yellow away. So I'm going to say that they were born on the 1st of 2000. I don't even know how old are kids now, like 16? There we go. Okay, and then their ID. You're going to find this, obviously, in Skyward. Okay, and then you're going to check the area of concern. Okay, so for the purpose of this, let's say we have some academic intervention or some academic concerns in reading and math. Okay, then you're going to want to log into Skyward and pull up, when did the student last have a hearing and vision screen? This is super important because as an IEP team, special education has to rule out that it's a hearing or a vision problem that's prohibiting a student's access to their curriculum. Okay, so you're going to find the date that they had a hearing and a vision screen. Okay, if they came at the beginning of the school year to Rocky Peak, chances are they had it done then, and you're going to choose if they pass or fail. The other thing that we have to rule out is that it is not a language barrier preventing their access to their general education curriculum. So you're going to type in the student's language, okay? And then you'll see in Skyward that there's student language, home language, native language, all of that, right? If it's English across the board, the next part does not apply to you. But let's say the student is a native Spanish speaker or they speak another language, right? Then you're going to want to get our language and cultural services involved, as well as Jamie, because a bilingual school psychologist takes a long time to kind of procure for testing. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so let's say, oh, they're English, they don't need it. This is where you're going to document your initial concern about the student and when you talked to the parent. So you're going to put in the date. So let's say that today on 10/29, I contacted the parent. Okay, your name should already pre-populate there. Okay, and then any other additional contact that you make with the parent regarding RTI is going to be documented on this form. If you need more space, like we absolutely can add more space, right? So let's say that on 11/5, you contact the parent. You can choose how, maybe text or dojo, and you discussed students' attendance during tier 2 interventions, okay? Student attendance, we already take care of this, right? But again, we have to note in this form whether student attendance is an issue. So I've linked the attendance and engagement into this form, right? You can meet with Jen, you can go through the attendance and engagement form for this student, okay? And you are going to put if it's a concern or if it's not a concern. Let's say this student does not have any attendance concerns, attends all classes for entirety of class, right? Like, and then you have to go through the historical performance of the student. So, rule of thumb here, if the student just has a concern in reading, you're not going to include any math data. If the student has a concern in reading and math, you need to do areas in both, okay? So this is going to be like your cadence, your benchmarks, unit tests, things like that. And rule of thumb is that you need at least 2 years of that data. This is found in students' cumulative files. This is also found in students' Skyward. You can look in ALO. If you have trouble locating this information, like get in touch with your coach, okay? And they should be able to help you. Next, you're going to focus on the student's performance in your classroom. Okay, so this is where you're going to put formative assessments, things that you have, your support that shows the student is not making progress in the gen ed curriculum. And then their grades. What's really nice about us moving into standards-based grades is that grade is going to support their change from just Tier 1 to instruction to now supplemental Tier 2 intervention. Okay, so again, these two are found from you as the teacher. It's just compiling that data into this. If there has been a discipline or suspension for the student, again, that should be found in Skyward. I would reach out to Ross if you have any questions about that. And then referral, if the student has previously been referred for special education services, if it's been in the last several years at Rocky Peak, Jamie or I will have that information, right? As well as retention, okay? So you're going to choose were they retained, were they not retained? I'm going to choose that they weren't retained and that they weren't referred, okay? Again, this is helping support your case. Now, these things down here, okay, are going to be filled out more after you fill out your data notebook. So let's get into that.